Hey, what's up? What's going on? Hashtag Missingdcgirls. Today we're going to be talking about See No Evil, Season 3, Episode 7, Dead on Reflection. Today is a cautionary tale about to be careful when you're out in public and be aware of your surroundings and don't make decisions off of alcohol-induced and emotional. Basically, no one's at fault for what we're going to talk about, but it's just to be aware and to learn from other people's mistakes, basically. So we're going to be talking about a young lady. Her name is Kimberly Robinson. She is from Oakland, California. This story takes place April 4th, 2014. So Kimberly Robinson is at her sister's house. Her sister's going to be babysitting her daughter. Her daughter is so beautiful. Her daughter looks like an angel. And Kimberly Robinson is getting dressed. Her sister's name is Kiana. Sister's going to be babysitting her daughter tonight while Kimberly goes out. Kimberly's getting dressed. She's getting ready to go out. She has a date with her boyfriend, Danny. And basically, she's getting ready. Danny comes, he picks her up. And then they go out to a bar in Oakland, California. The name of the bar is Lakeside. So basically, they go to this bar in Lakeside, California, in Oakland. And basically, the video there is excellent. They have it's X-ray, kind of like vision footage. And it's like heat-censored footage as well. And it's HD, and it's in color, and it's all over the bar. Because See No Evil is about how they track down people that are missing, kidnapped through surveillance footage that is all around us. So anyways, Kimberly goes to the bar with Danny, and you can see from the video that Danny and Kimberly are not happy. He's flirting with other females there because he's a little bit intoxicated. And and Kimberly Robinson's behind him. She's like standoffish, and David dances with somebody else, and it's like he's flirting with other people. They're kind of like separate, but then later in the night, they are Kimberly's following David around the bar, and then as they're leaving, David sees a friend of his. They talk, they chat. So Kimberly, David, and a friend, they leave the bar. They all leave the bar together. So basically, so then from there, there's a biker, he's just riding in the park. And I believe the park is a recreational center in Oakland, California. And the recreational center and it's a park / recreational center, is where a biker is riding his bike, and he sees a dead body. He sees a body first, and he's trying to give CPR, and he's not able to. He called the cops. The cops come, and when the cops arrive to the scene, she's basically dead on arrival. So Kimberly Robinson is dead on arrival after her night out with David, her boyfriend. So when the police get on the scene, they notice, she's not breathing. They notice some type of head trauma. And then a couple of feet away from the body is a receipt and a t-shirt and a plastic bag. And the police have some luck because the killer left behind Kimberly Robinson's ID and her address. So the cops go and notify Kiana, her sister, that they found her sister's body, and they're questioning her, asking her, does she know who she was with? And she says, yeah, she was with Danny last night or whatever. And I was like, well, you think Danny could have possibly hurt her or murdered her? She goes, no, hell no, not Danny. So Kimberly's sister Kiana was worried because it was like about 10 a.m. when the cops arrived to her house. She thought maybe her sister Kimberly spent the night at Danny's house, but unfortunately she didn't, and unfortunately she was found murdered. So the next day, the police interviewed Danny, and when they interviewed Danny tells the police while he's being interviewed, right now Danny is suspect number one. They asked Danny what happened that night. Danny says that him and Kiana got into an argument as they were leaving the club because their friend that they left the club with brought them to their car, which in another parking lot. And Danny didn't want to drive home because he said he's been drinking all day and all night or whatever, and so has Kimberly, and so he felt that both of them were too intoxicated to drive, and so Danny calls a cab, and the cab comes, and then him and Kimberly gets into an argument. Kimberly jumps out the car. The cab comes back, and he tries to get Kimberly in the car. She jumps out again and says she's gonna find her own way home. And so then Danny, being the man that he is, didn't want to leave her out there by herself. So he jumps out the cab. He gets into his truck, his black truck, and he sees Kimberly standing at the bus stop. So he parks right, probably a few feet away from the bus stop in front of a bank. And so as he's in front of the bank, he's looking at Kimberly, hoping that she will cool down and calm down and then walk over to his vehicle. But he didn't want to approach her because he knows that she's upset and they've both been drinking. Plus, he's intoxicated as well. So Danny ends up falling asleep, and then he wakes up about 6 a.m. and he gets out, he stretches himself, he sees that Kimberly's not at the bus stop anymore. He's like, oh my God, I fell asleep. So then he goes home, and then he arrives at the police station, and so he tells the police this story. The police is like, oh my God, this is not an alibi. Wow. So the police do investigation of their own, basically. But when the police arrive, so the police goes to see the body that's is having an autopsy. And basically the doctor tells the detectives that there's blood force trauma to the head, to the skull. There's so many fractures, and plus the victim has been raped as well. Kimberly Robinson has been raped as well, and they're taking the body, they're taking some DNA. It's going to probably take days or weeks for the DNA to come back in. So the police say, okay, let's see if we can verify Danny's alibi. So the police go to the club Lakeside in Oakland, and the footage is great. So they see Danny and Kimberly at the club. They see them leaving the club. They see them at the club. They see that, like, they're both, her attitude is standoffish. They're not really communicating. It's like cold as ice between these two. And they leave with a friend. And so the police is watching the video. And so the police contacts the friend, and the friend said, yes, I dropped Danny and Kimberly off in the parking lot to their vehicle, but Kimberly was really upset. And so after that, the cops continue to look at the footage. And so as they continue to watch the footage, everything that Danny has said is basically coming to fruition. Because they see them leaving the club together. They see the cab come twice. They see Kimberly jump in and out the cab car, and they see Danny trying to talk to her, and then they also see Kimberly walking towards Kimberly Robinson walking towards the bus stop. And they see Danny gets into his car, and he pulls up in front of the bank, and he parks, he turns off his lights. And then when Danny gets out the vehicle, it's about 6 a.m. and he's like stretching. So basically Danny's alibi is proven. So he's no longer a suspect in this matter anymore. So now he's a witness as well. So from that point of view, so the detectives go to the bank, and they try to get footage from the bank. And then so they get footage from the bank. They see Danny's car as well, and they can see Kimberly at the bus stop, Kimberly Robinson at the bus stop, waiting on the bus or whatever. I think around this time it's like 1:30 a.m. I don't know if buses run that late in Oakland. I'm not from Oakland. I did used to live in Oakland when I was a child or whatever. So anyways, they just see her standing there, and then they notice a red Toyota front runner keeps circling around the boulevard, basically. And so they're like, okay, what is this vehicle doing? So they see this vehicle, and they see the vehicle does stop too as well. So and so they're trying to slow down the video so they can see, they can get a plate, they can get any vision of this person driving this red Toyota front runner, basically. And they're not able to get the plates or whatever, but then they're not able to see exactly the bus stop because it's blocked. The cameras from the bank doesn't cover that much of the area, so basically you only can see basically Kimberly's feet. And the reason why you can see her feet is because she has on shiny gold boots. Her boots were beautiful as well. Really nice boots that she had on. And Kimberly Robinson was a really beautiful young woman. She was 22 years old, and she had our daughter probably was like 1 year old. So as they are looking at the footage, they notice something. In the bank camera, there's a reflection glass, a reflection little mirror where you can see. So basically now they can see more of Kiana's body, and they can see this Toyota front runner circling around the block. And they slow down the footage, and they can see the Toyota front runner slowing down and talking to Kimberly as well. So the Toyota front runner is talking to Kimberly, and then they notice feet walking into the car. So then they know the Toyota front runner does a U-turn, and it passes right by Danny's vehicle while he's parked in front of the bank. And then you can see the terror, the fright in Kimberly's face, and Kimberly's looking back at Danny's vehicle and looking at him to see if he's awake, if he sees her or anything like that. And Danny at this time is sleeping. So if you are out with your partner, you get upset, you get into a fight, or you don't like what's happening while you're with them, the bus is probably not the best bet to take home. If you can call somebody for a ride, you can call Uber, bring a taxi cab number with you, bring friends' numbers with you, bring cash with you, bring your credit cards, so you can have transportation home. Better yet, if you have your own car, take your own car as well, because this is horrific. Because this didn't have to go down like this. This didn't have to happen. But sometimes you don't think that danger is around the corner. So like you can see, we all see that watch the program can see Kiana last moments looking back at Danny. And she's not going to be alive after this. Because her body, Kimberly's body was found about a quarter a mile from the bus stop and from the club. So basically the officer believed Kiana was murdered between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. And so Danny right now feels really bad. He feels like crap. You can tell he's this story took place in 2014. It's 2017 now. He has aged a lot, and shit like this can make you age quickly, especially when you have guilt and you feel bad, and then you think about what you could have did, what you could have done, and that's a horrific feeling. Let me tell you, I've been there, wishing I would have did this, wishing I would have did that, and I didn't, and someone's life is gone. And so then we get the story from Kimberly Robinson's sister, Kiana. That's why I keep saying Kiana. Kiana tells us a story that her mother, Kiana, and Kimberly's mother died at age 22, the same age as Kimberly, 22. And Kimberly's mother was murdered at the age of 22 by her boyfriend. He was shooting at her. She was trying to flee the scene, and as she's trying to leave the apartment, he's shooting at her, and one of the bullets goes from her back through her chest, and she dies instantly. And what kind of fate is that? When they say history repeats itself, does it really repeat itself? Now, Kimberly has a daughter, so her daughter's growing up without a mother. The same thing happened to Kimberly. She grew up without her mother. So basically, Kimberly's daughter needs to break the cycle and be protected in each and every way. And how is she going to feel going out and dating and being around strangers, knowing that this history, this dark history surrounds their family? It's horrific. Horrific. So knowing that is just awful. It's just like, you know, it's just sad. So basically they get the Toyota front runner on camera, but they're not able to identify the plates. They're not able to identify the guy. And so the police do some searching, and they go to the recreational center where the body was found at, and it's F.M. Smith Recreational Park. That's where Kimberly body was found at. So they go to the recreational center and see if they have any footage from the night, the previously. So when they go to the recreation center, so they know the body was dropped there. So basically, if the front runner, if the red Toyota is there, they know that, okay, they're getting close and closer to the information that they need and that they want. So they get the footage. The footage is 4 screens and 1, basically divided into 4 screens and 1. As grainy, it's really not that clear, but they do see the red Toyota front runner, and they do see a guy with dreads, basically like a big bun of dreads, like dreadlocked, like Rastafarian dreads, like they grow really big. They do see an image of his hair, and that's it, the distinctive hairstyle, basically. So, and it's around the time that Kimberly body possibly was dropped, where this guy with the dreads is at. So they're not getting anywhere from there. So basically they take a look at the receipt that was next to Kimberly body. The receipt is about 2 weeks old. So they go to the Lowe's store and they ask for their footage, and they're in luck. The footage hasn't been erased. They keep the footage for a while before they record over it. And basically they see 2 guys get out of a Toyota front runner and go into the store, purchase some items, and they see the guy with the dreads, the big bun of dreads and everything. And so they're hoping, like, so since they couldn't get the plates from the outside footage, they're hoping maybe they can get footage in the inside of the Lowe's store. But basically they're not able to get footage of the guys in the store, not a clear view footage. But they're in luck. They use a credit card, but come to find out the credit card is stolen. It's a stolen credit card, but they tracked down the information on a stolen credit card, and on the same day this credit card was used at a restaurant, at a junior something restaurant, I believe. It was used at a junior something restaurant. So anyway, so it was used at a junior's restaurant, and so, you know, they asked the manager if they have footage, and the restaurant guy says, yes, we do. The restaurant manager says, yes, we do have footage. We don't record over our footage for a whole month, so we keep the footage for at least a month. So basically they get the footage, and they have the 2 men, so they get a clear vision of the driver and the passenger, but they're not able to get the license plates. And so, but the manager says, hey, there's something else I can do. We have another camera that takes this part of the drive-through. So they actually get the plates. So once they get the plates, they run the plates, and they find out that it belongs to a 40-year-old man that's married and has 2 children. And basically his name is Prince Prince TC. And the restaurant was called Junior's. I believe they have good food. So anyways, so they've realized that, so they get the name of the guy driving the Toyota front runner, And when they do, they check out the passenger, and they find out that the passenger, they get information on the passenger as well. He was locked up at the time that the murder was committed. So the detectives come up with a plan to try to get Prince Tracy information from him. So basically, the police get together, they put patrolmen on, and they canvass the neighborhood where Prince Tracy lives, and so they're knocking on doors, they're passing out flyers and everything of Kimberly that she's missing. They want to know if anybody has any information on her. So basically, they're knocking on doors. So they knock on Prince Tracy's door, and they say, "Hey, this girl's missing." But the detectives have on body cam, so everything is being recorded. They have on eye cameras, they have on watch cameras, and neck cameras, basically. And so as the officer is talking to Prince Tracy, they say, "Do you know this girl? Have you seen her? We're trying to find out who she is and where she's located." And Prince Tracy said, "No, I've never seen her. I don't know who she is." And they was like, "Well, can you take this flyer and ask your friends, family, or relatives, just in case they might know any information?" He goes, "Yes, I will." The officer says, "Oh, by the way, what is your last name?" He spells his last name Tsetse, Tacy's. So then it gave the officers the proof that he knew her. He says that he didn't know her. So then what is she doing in his vehicle? So basically, it gives them kind of leverage to question him, to detain him, basically. And so once they detain Prince Tracy, he's in the interview room. He's saying that he doesn't know Kimberly Robinson. He's never seen her before. He has no idea. And then he says, "Oh, I do know. I seen her one time around some apartments, and she was lost, and she had on a long red wig or something like that, but I didn't really recognize her at first." And he goes, "And so I gave her a ride." And so now he's admitting that he knows her, he's seen her, he gave her a ride, but before he said he didn't. And so then the DNA comes back. The semen that was left on Mrs. Kimberly Robinson's body as a perfect identical match to Prince Tracy's. Then Prince Tracy says that, and they asked him why was he driving around that area, and he said him and his wife went to function. They got into a big argument, they got into a big fight, and he just took off because he was upset, and he was just patrolling the neighborhood for somebody that he can victimize, basically, or somebody he can take advantage of at the time, because he wanted sex, basically. And he wanted to take out his anger and his frustration on a stranger. So basically, like, if you are in a relationship with someone and they get you upset and mad, please don't take your frustration out on other people. Other people have nothing to do with your problems. We're just innocent bystanders. And it's just like, it goes on to when people have bad days at work, bad days in their relationship or in their life. When they come out in public or in their residence, they do things to try to intervene on other people's life and causing them discomfort. And like, keep your problems to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, pray about it, meditate, do anything, but don't go out and victimize somebody because your life is fucked up. You created your own fucked up life. So anyways, riding around stealing folks' credit cards and buying shit at Lowe's and then buying food, you're just a no good motherfucker, basically. And then what about your kids? Your kids and your wife have to say, "Oh, my father's in jail for raping and murdering a 22-year-old. What kind of shit is that? And if he was providing for the family, now that's gone. Like, what was he doing to his wife? And anyways, Prince Tracy is from Ghana. He doesn't have a criminal record until now. So anyways, he said he was in an argument with his wife, so he was patrolling the neighborhood to try to find somebody he can victimize, because basically he felt victimized, I guess. And so he sees Kimberly Robinson at the bus stop, and he offers her a ride, and then he bludgeons her to death and drops her off at the park. Basically, Prince Tracy is in prison for life without the possibility of parole, which is so messed up. And then at the end of the episode, you have Danny, that was Kimberly Robinson's boyfriend at the time, he was like, man, he was like, yo, the police showed me the footage. I can see her looking at my car and staring at me, and I was drunk, I was asleep. And he was like, what if I would have just got out the car and stood at the bus stop with her? He would have drove off because he would have known that she was with somebody. And he was just like, he was like, yo, this has haunted me, and I know it haunts our family and our daughter. He goes, if I would have never took her out, if I would have did this or that. And you can see how much he has aged. And then for the sister Kiana that's left to take care of the daughter, she lost her mother and her sister both at the age of 22. So she's gonna spend the rest of her majority of her life without her sister and her mother. It's horrific. Be careful what you do when you go out here in public. Be aware of your surroundings. Don't get too inebriated where you don't know what you're doing and you get ticked off at the littlest things. And always carry mace or something with you. Carry money, carry change that you can call somebody, or your cell phones, or have money to take a cab or Uber. But, you know, if you don't feel like going home with the person you're with, let security know at the club. Let people know at the club. Call people and let them know to try to get a ride home. Even though you may feel like you're inconveniencing the people that you love, they rather would be inconvenienced than to find out that you're dead the next day. So hashtag Missingdcgirls. One love. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like the video.